Alright. Let's get this shit started. Okay. Alright. Hola todos, what's poppin'? It's me. I feel like I shouldn't start this by saying I haven't been on here forever because then we're just gonna start the trend of me saying that every video. Because let's be honest, I don't get paid to do this. I just do this for my enjoyment, so you know what? You gon' get these videos when I want to. But seriously, I do actually want to make a lot more videos. I have a lot of ideas floating around in my head. I'm just super busy with school and work. And for those of you who don't know, last semester I pledged a fraternity, a service fraternity. So I'm super busy with a lot of things. They want me to be more involved. And I personally like being involved in things like that. That's my dog. King. Hey. Hey. I don't know if y'all can see him, because I don't have one of those things that flips out so I can see what's being on the camera. I kind of just set this shit on the tripod and was like, let's see what happens. So, anyway, let me actually get to the fucking point. Today, I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind for a really long time. I'm so sorry if you're going to hear him in the background, but he was napping. But I want to talk about something that I feel affects a lot of people. And that topic is the struggle for perfection, especially in college students or high school students too, because I've struggled with these issues when I was in high school as well, and it's only really been magnified or accentuated once I entered college. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have notes here. I was going to do just like a really free-form kind of video, but through some self-reflection, I kind of realized that I tend to, like, my messages tend to become very convoluted when I just let myself blurb whatever the fuck I want to say. And so, not to bore you guys for 45 minutes, I decided to just jot down some notes so I can try to make this as concise as possible. But of course, if you guys want me to talk about other issues, I definitely can, because there's a lot of issues that college students, especially college students of color, face. And I've never been one to shy away from those things. I have tea going on. I don't know if y'all can see, I have a candle in the back. Got my vape pen here ready. It's gonna be a really chill video, so yeah, stay tuned. So I guess I just want to start off by saying that there is an enormous amount of pressure on millennials and Generation Z to have everything figured out very early on. Now, of course, we're expected to know what we want to do for the rest of our lives when we're only 18. And if we're supposed to be living until we're like in our 90s, that's very, very young to be knowing what you want to do for the rest of your life. For example, I went on a, I guess we could call it like a retreat or whatever, and I was talking to one of the instructors there, and he was telling the group about how he went to school for pharmacy. He was in pharmacy for like 10 years, and then he realized that this was not really his passion, so he decided to quit being a pharmacist and go back to school and become a coder. He was like 40 years old, but he had been on the track to be a pharmacist since he was 18. You know what I mean? There's so much time we have, and for people to expect us to know what we want to do for the rest of our lives when we're 18, it doesn't really make sense. You're not, in the legal sense, yes, you are an adult, but in the mental sense, in the physical sense, you're really not an adult. You're really not. I was talking to one of my professors the other day, and she wants to do social work with adolescents, and she was talking to me and two other of my peers, and she was telling us about how they've actually changed the age range for adolescents. So instead of being 14 to 21, it's actually now 14 to 26 because, well, for a lot of reasons, like namely the economy and just like bills and shit and tuition, people are putting off becoming adults. You know what I mean? People are putting off paying their own bills, getting their own house, getting married, having children. All of those things are being put off because A, you know, we have a new sense of freedom, especially women, but B, it costs a lot of fucking money, and people just don't have that money, you know what I mean? You definitely could have done that in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, but now, 2018, we can't fucking do that. This is not House Hunters, you know? I don't chase butterflies and my boyfriend sharps pencils and we have $1 million budget to get a fucking house to live in forever. That's not what happens. It just doesn't happen. And as an immigrant, as someone who was a first generation student, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
90% of the time I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
I really don't know. And I'm so grateful that my senior year I had so many teachers who tried to help me and educate us on what FAFSA was, try to get us more in tune with like financial aid and loans and all of that stuff, and like deciding whether you want to go to a school that's going to pay for you to go there even if you don't really like it, or go to a school that you really, really like and put yourself in debt, knowing that they're going to give you the experience you want. You know, there's so many choices, and I'm so glad that there was teachers I had who actually gave a shit about me and wanted me to know the difference between these things. I think my tea is ready, so before I burn down my house, I'm gonna be right back. I don't know if y'all can see, but my dog is like, he's just chilling. Hello, gorgeous. So, I'm just gonna let that cool down a little bit. Buddy, you're gonna have to move. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's very difficult because I'm navigating a world that essentially my family can't help me with. You know what I mean? Other students whose parents have gone to college, or at least partially, maybe they didn't finish, but at least they went, at least they have a sort of sense as to what it entails, or if they have older siblings maybe. I have an older sister who did go to college, but she went to college, she went to a different college than me, and so on the whole they're very similar, but my sister is a lot older than I am, so, you know, laws have changed, rules have changed, policies have changed, so it may not necessarily reflect her experience. Moving on to my next point. That last point was a nice transition into the next one. As a person of color, I don't have the same support system as white people. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. I don't have the same support system as a lot of white families do. These issues I'm facing are only they're augmented by my mental illness. I have had depression, anxiety since I was about 14 years old, but I didn't actually go to a therapist until I was almost 19 years old, and that was when I was in school, and the only reason I went was because it's free. It was free through the school. That was the only reason why I went. Not to bash my family, not to bash other people of color and their family dynamics. It's just definitely, there's a lot of stigma, again, around mental illness, especially in brown communities, because you're just told to either pray and it'll go away, or you're just dismissed as like being like whiny or just like not knowing how to deal with it. And I'm not saying that white families or my white counterparts don't deal with that, but it's like you really, really see in action in brown communities where your parents are just like, they're just thinking that we're making it up, or we're just whiny, or we just need to grow up, and they never really take the time to make sure you're taken care of. I had a conversation with my boyfriend yesterday, and he was telling me about how his mother has been an excellent, that was that was his support system. And she was always there, and she was always supportive. And I'm not saying my parents were supportive, but they just didn't know how to navigate that, like, they just didn't know how to navigate those issues. And so I was some sort of conditioned into internalizing all of these issues. And I'm still like that today. I mean, it's so hard for me to open up and ask for help. Although I would argue that it takes more of a mature, more of an adult kind of person to reach out and ask for help, because it's a very difficult thing to do. It really is. Along with the lines of not having a support system within my family, I don't have... It's not that I don't have a support system here. I do. I have some wonderful, wonderful friends. But those wonderful friends amount to 2 people. I have like 2 friends, and I love them very, very dearly. They know who they are. I love them very, very dearly. But as a person of color who is not going to an HBCU, I often feel like I don't belong. And I know that other people feel like this too. I put it on Facebook, and I didn't really get into too many details on my Facebook status. But there was so many people who were like, you know what, I feel the same way. Or people who reached out to me and asked me if I was okay. And it was just amazing to me to see that all these people felt like this. I had one of my cousins, she was like, I felt like that the entire time I was in college. And even after I graduated, it still feels like that. I had another one of my friends who's graduating this year, who I went to high school with, and she was like, I still feel like that, and I'm graduating. You know what I mean? It's just like, I am often the only person of color in my classes. I am often the only person who wasn't born in America, the only person who speaks another language, the only person who looks like me, you know what I mean? Not to say that there aren't other people of color who don't look like me, but, you know, it's definitely a big issue with representation. And, you know what I mean? The odds I felt were stacked against me in high school to even go to college. And then I was like, all right, I made it, this is going to be great. And then I got here, and I was like, oh, I am like the only brown person in like 100-mile radius. That's not, again, I'm not criticizing my school. My school tries to be diverse. Last year when I was a freshman, it was actually the year of diversity, and they're always trying to get more people to come here, trying to reach out to the students that are already here of color. But it's a very hard thing, you know what I mean? You don't just go to school one day and then the next day your student population is now 50% black, 50% white. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. And even if it was like that, I'm not black. I'm Afro-Latina. If you want to be, you know, if you want to be really like PC, I'm Afro-Latina. But obviously the way I look, I face a lot of the issues that black people face, and it's only augmented by the fact that I'm Hispanic. I'm discriminated on a lot of levels, guys. I'm discriminated on a lot of levels. Intersectionality. But it just makes me feel a lot less motivated, a lot less competent. And sometimes it is simply a matter of I am less competent because I didn't have the resources that some of my white peers had when they were growing up. You know, I didn't have tutors growing up. I didn't have SAT prep growing up. All the work I did, I had to do it on my damn self, my damn own. I had to do it by myself. And once I have kids, if I have money, I want them to have those, like, those people there and those resources there. But growing up, I didn't have those resources. My parents really didn't know much about my academics or my teachers or anything like that. It was all really up to me. I guess the overarching question or sentiment or question, I guess you could say, is, do I belong? Do I belong here? Do I belong in this institution? Do I have what it takes to be great? I know I do, but it's very, very difficult to tap into that when there's a lot of forces that are making me feel like I should just quit or I should just go home. You know, I have friends who aren't in college and they seem to be having the time of their life. And sometimes I wonder if that was the right path for me. I still believe going to college was the right path for me. I still believe that there would have been a lot of obstacles if I didn't go to college. But once I graduate, I will have something that people cannot take away from me. And that is my knowledge. That is my brain. That is my mind. That's my intellect. People can't take that away from me. And while I know that it is ludicrous to try to strive for perfection, it's still something I do, and it's still something that I struggle with, and it brings me so much anxiety and so much stress and pressure, and it's all just built up. And I know that my experience is not, it's not something, it's not one in a million. I know lots of people feel that way, feel the same way that I do, and I encourage all of us, just like I'm trying to work on myself, I encourage all of us to find that support system. Find ways to express yourself. You know, for me, it's trying to get more on this camera. It's trying to use this camera more and express myself, and be more positive. Whatever it is for you, whatever helps you, whatever sets your soul on fire, I encourage you to go for it. You know what I mean? Perfection is something out of our grasp. But happiness, that is something we can achieve if we work towards it. So I just want to leave you guys with some positive words. I know this was a very, I don't want to say it was upsetting. I think it was just it's a heavy topic, and I definitely did not get into it. If there's anything you guys want me to talk about, I'm totally down for it, because I think it's important that we talk about these things. It's important that people out there know that there's other brown people that are experiencing these issues. And to me, making this video was such a good way to express myself. And I would love to talk to other people, because it gives me hope, you know what I mean? Knowing that there's other people out there that are going through the same things as me, being able to be a part of a support system for someone else, even just sending someone a positive message and being like, you know what, I'm going through that right now too. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it. That to me would just mean the world. So yeah, guys, let me know down below what you guys want to hear from me. I would love to keep talking about these things, because I like to talk. But I've never ever been shy about talking about these things. So, yeah. See ya!